y'all, and I'm back, y'all, and I'm blickety 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 back, y'all, and I'm back, y'all, and I'm back, y'all, and I'm blickety 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 black. I'm black and I'm back. What's up, y'all? I know. I'm sorry, y'all. I had to take a full week off of doing videos. I didn't want to cherry pick which shows I did and didn't do because I didn't feel like that would be fair to everyone who watches. I needed a break, y'all. I have a lot going the fuck on. And yeah, but I'm back, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blickety blickety blue black. Okay, so I did not watch the tell all. I did not watch it. I didn't care. I really didn't care because after the week before last episode when they did the hometowns, I just got so frustrated with the whole situation. I got frustrated with the fact that I know that he's gonna pick Rachel. Um, it's all very annoying. I'm gonna say right now, spoiler, 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 spoiler. So if you don't want to hear what I'm about to say about some of the things that have come out within the past couple of days in regards to who's winning and relationships and shit, please skip ahead like 5 minutes, I'd say, maybe 5 minutes. But this is a spoiler alert. So again, spoiler alert. SPOILERALERT. Okay, now I'm gonna say. Okay, so look. So if anybody been paying attention, we all know he gonna pick Rachel, right? So I didn't want to believe it, but I think maybe 3 weeks ago that I realized, okay, he's gonna pick this white woman. He's gonna pick this white woman, okay? It has been said allegedly by, see, I'm on camera, so I like literally have to like cite my damn sources. I am reading from Women's Health Magazine.com, okay? This was written by Emily Schiffer. Schiffer. Look, in college they tell you to cite your sources, so that's what I'm doing, okay? Now, the question is, okay, so pretty much put it like this. We know that they're gonna be together. We know that at the end of the day, 10 times out of 10, Matt is going to pick Rachel. Okay, that is something that has been already talked about. It has been leaked. It has been talked about the whole season. And the closer and closer we get to the end, I think us as a viewing audience, we can pretty much tell he's going to pick Rachel, right? Okay, so the question is, are they still together currently as of today, which is what's today, y'all? March 9th, okay? Are they still together? Now, I am going to read what is here. A source from Life and Style, they have them linked, confirmed the split. Okay? Sorry, I'm gonna back it up for a second. So the headline is, so are Matt and Rachel still together? If you subscribe to what Reality Steve has to say, which is a blogger, the answer is no. This is in quote, a couple of weeks ago, after spending Valentine's Day weekend together, Matt broke it off with Rachel, Reality Steve wrote in his latest blog post. There's a lot of stuff out there in the media as to why I haven't gotten a clear answer. Oh, there's a lot of stuff out there in the media as to why, and I haven't gotten a clear answer as to what he told her, okay? And he talks about the statement pretty much that Matt put out, which I read to y'all last week, the week before, and he's pretty much saying, if you read that statement, you could tell he ain't with her, which I agree. Now, read this. A source from Life and Style also confirmed the split. Quote, Matt broke up with Rachel mainly due to the backlash. At the end of the day, he cared more about protecting himself, supporting his friend, former Bachelorette Rachel Lindsay, and speaking out against the franchise. Rachel can't wait until she can finally share her side of the story once the finale airs. And they also said that the reunion hasn't been recorded yet. So what I'm confused about is, what side of the story is there to tell, Rachel? What side of the story is there to tell? Other than you coming out and saying, what, I'm not racist, I liked a lot of things that I didn't realize what I was liking, I'm not that person, I really care about Matt. That's all you can really come out and say. And us as the viewing public, we don't care. I am more interested in what Matt has to say in regards to this than I am what Rachel has to say about this. Because to be quite honest, I don't give a fuck. And we can pretty much get into the review, but before I do, I just want to double down on the fact of what I said last week, which is that, or the week before, which is that I don't know who set this shit the fuck up. I don't know who set it up. I don't know if it was ABC. if it was that. I feel like it's definitely ABC behind the bullshit. But don't y'all find it odd that we got this news about Rachel? Now, mind you, there was 38 girls in total on this show. Do y'all not find it weird that out of all of the girls on this show, Rachel is the one that we got the information about in regards to her, quote unquote, being racist, and she's the one that he picks at the end? And on top of that, he's the first Black Bachelor during Black History Month. And then on top of that, we're going to throw in the added bonus about his father coming into the picture, coming into this episode. My Black spirit isn't feeling right. Something in my ancestors are telling me that something in the water isn't clean about this entire fucking situation. But we shall fucking get there. So we start off, with him contemplating, because this is the... Okay, I'm going to be real with y'all. I'm probably not going to really even go through I'm sorry. I'm not going to give a super breakdown of this episode, because kind of like how Hometowns was to me a copy and paste episode. Like somebody said on Twitter, y'all could have just emailed this whole episode to us and it would have been fine. Like literally y'all could have put the bullet points and we could have just went about our day. Because I feel like the Hometown, this was a copy and paste situation. I understand it was no real big difference in specifically the way that Matt was interacting with these women. Nothing was different. I'm going to tell you what in general happened this episode. Took the girl out. The girls told him that he's in love. He never tell anybody that he loved them back. He gets his penis wet. He sends them home. That's literally what happened the entire episode. But I will go through it just for the dramatics of it all. So Michelle has the first date or whatever. But before she gets to the date, I feel conflicted about this whole situation, because about the father, okay? Matt talks about how, he's been very closed off his whole life, and, he feels like he needs to really talk to his dad. So we finally get to meet Matt's dad, okay? So he comes to the house, and at first he had an accent. I'm like, where is this man from? And then Matt ended up saying, like, I know, like, it's different from you being from Africa. So his father ain't just black. He black. Like, he black in the sense that he from the motherland, okay? So, okay. All right. So, his father comes, okay? And at first, when Matt started to, ask him, like, you express himself about, like, you wasn't really around and all of this stuff like that, and I wish you were around, and so I brought you here because I want to have a conversation with you about, not making the same mistakes as you. And his father at first was very, very defensive. It was a lot of excuses like, well, you don't know what it is that I went through, which it is important. I'm gonna touch on that when I get done talking about what actually happened. You don't really know what I went through. You said I didn't do this for you, but nobody did it for me. My dad was killed when I was 5 years old. You want to talk about your mother. Like, I came home one day and your mother was gone. And then Matt's like, okay, well, she left because you wasn't treating her right. You was cheating on her. You was doing all of this other stuff. Like, would you want your daughters to be with somebody else, to be with somebody that treats them like that? And so I was like, yeah, but no. And he was like, no, it's a yes or no question. He was like, no, I wouldn't. And so, Matt, of course, is defending his mom. He's like, look, at the end of the day, my mom did what she needed to do, and I'm proud of her for doing what it is that she had to do. She did what was best for her, and she did what was best for us. And eventually, after them talking for a couple minutes, you can kind of see it hitting his father a little bit. And, eventually he was just like, you want to know what? You're right. I am sorry for everything I put you through. I was wrong. I should have never did any of that, and I'm just kind of proud of the person that you are, and I'm going to do my best to do better. Now, I have here in my notes, the conversation was needed, and it was a good conversation, and I also feel like the important thing that I did take away from this is I really, really, really wish more people would do this in the sense of cleaning up your childhood trauma before you decide to specifically marry someone. Dating is kind of one thing, but specifically marry, I really feel like and especially as Black people, we really, because our trauma is, it's like amplified a lot of the times. Even if you are in a well-off family, you in middle class, you still got more trauma than the average white person does. Um, we really, really, really need to get into the habit of dissecting and understanding the trauma and the things that we went through as a child, specifically with our parents and those around us being younger, because it absolutely manifests itself in our relationships in ways that y'all probably don't even realize. Hell, there's things that in my relationship to this day that I'm still learning, and I've been with my dude for 10 years, and there's things that I learn every single day, that I realized. Okay, for instance, I'm gonna give y'all just a brief example for me. I started going to therapy last year, right? Okay, and when I went to my therapist, one of the things we talked about was criticism. And how I said I can take a lot of criticism. I really can. I have no problem. But for some reason, when my boyfriend criticizes me, it sends me to a whole nother level. I mean, it pisses me off to like the nth degree. It hurts my feelings. Like, and he could be absolutely right. And I will absolutely take it to the 10th level. And I had a Black woman, so the first thing she was like, oh, so can't nobody check you, huh? So can't nobody check you. And I didn't think about it that way. And I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, but not him. And when we delved that deeper into it and talked about my background and stuff like that, it pretty much ties back to how I felt with my father growing up. How I didn't really like being criticized a lot by my father, because it a lot of times it wasn't in a healthy way. The criticisms that I got weren't in a loving way. A lot of times it was very, this is what you're doing wrong, you need to fucking fix it. I don't care what the excuse is, and I don't give a fuck why it is that way, but you need to fix it. Never like willing to help me fix it or willing to understand what the issue was. It was just straight, you need to fucking fix it. If you don't, then you're X, Y, Z in the third. And that transferred over to my relationship with my boyfriend. So that's something small, just in a sense of fact of we really do need to clean that up. However, I feel conflicted about their in particular situation or how this happened, because Matt said that they've never had a conversation about this previous to this. So my question is, why now? Why on TV? This, if you were gonna do this, I think Iyanla should have been present. I'm sorry. I know the Bachelor don't probably even know who Iyanla is or really give a fuck. But if y'all were gonna have this type of conversation, there should have been like an actual therapist around to actually guide the conversation. Y'all also need to be mindful of the fact that he's the first Black Bachelor, right? And from what I've seen on Twitter, everybody said that this has never happened where a bachelor's father has come on this show and they've had a conversation like this. So I think y'all, as ABC, need to be really, really careful about the image that you're portraying of having the first Black Bachelor have his father, who is a Black man who wasn't present in his life. I think y'all need to be a little bit more careful with the nuances of this situation, because yes, his father wasn't around, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but the nuances of all of this, it's not going to necessarily be your ABC's viewing audience, average viewing audience. They're not going to understand the nuances of a relationship between a Black father and his son. And I'm not trying to make, this is not me trying to make excuses at all for anybody. I just think that it's much more layered than The Bachelor even has time to even really dissect. And again, this is not to take any onus off of his father. His father was wrong. But I do think that there is way more that goes into that than people realize. And I feel as if this was not the platform or the time either. Like, even on Matt's side, this was not the time nor the place to have that conversation. You should have had this conversation with your father before you even got to The Bachelor. That's what I'm saying. You shouldn't have waited until you down to your last 3 girls to try to be like, oh, well, let me have this conversation with him. You should have had this conversation with him before you got on this fucking show to get all of that hashed out. I don't think it made sense for you to bring your father on this show with the stick, like, with the way that Black men are already Lord, for me to be the one to defend the Black man, because we could go all day on that. But I just feel some type of way. It's the optics. That's what I'm talking about. It's just the optics and who the Bachelor's overall audience is. You gotta be careful. I just feel like when it's something like that, you gotta be careful, because no, I'm not gonna go there. Just think about what I said, y'all. Just be careful. Gotta be careful. So then we move on. We didn't even really talk about the dates. I'm so sorry, y'all. Because to me, it wasn't really that big of a deal. Him and Michelle went on a date or whatever. They went and they talked about their parents. She talked about how he's the one forever. I just said, okay, girl, that's perfectly fine. They decided to go back to the room together. She got her back blown out, and then he asked for the next girl to come. The next girl was Bree. Same thing with Bree. Him and Bree. Well, before that, Rachel is in between the dates, complaining and how it's just so hard for her to see Michelle go on this date, even though you signed up for The Bachelor. I have no sympathy for any women who get on the show and can't control their emotions, with when it comes to Matt and him dealing with other women. Because if you couldn't deal with that, you shouldn't have brought your ass on the show. It's just that simple. Bree said that she was struggling between like being jealous and being excited, which there's nothing wrong with being jealous to me, but you got to be able to control those feelings, okay? And Rachel could not. Then we go on to Bree. Bree went hiking with this nigga, which I don't understand. I always felt like he didn't like Bree because, like she said, why the fuck is all my dates outside? Like, why can't I get wined and dined and something all pretty and shit like that? Why I gotta always be outside? And so one of my questions that I have in here myself is, everybody is telling Matt that they're in love. Why is nobody asking Matt if he's in love? Y'all are asking him where his head is at, but y'all are not flat out asking him, hey, look, I'm in love with you. Are you in love with me? Nobody's asking that question. It's all, well, where's your head at? And I'm not really sure how you're feeling. No, it needs to be flat out asked. If I'm sitting up here on national TV telling you that I love you, I need to hear whether or not you feel the same. And nobody's asking that, and it's confusing. Him and Bree go to dinner. Bree looks fucking amazing, as she always does. She said that Matt gave her the indication that he was feeling the same way. And I'm like, where, sis? Because I didn't see him anywhere. When Michelle said that she was in love with him, he pretty much said, thanks for sharing. When you said that you were in love with him, it was, thanks for sharing. That's pretty much what he did. Every single time that one of them girls said that they was in love with him, all he did was kiss them. He never said, I feel the same way. He never said, I'm falling in love with you the way he did to Rachel. He never said that to any of them, not on camera at least. It was always, I'm in love with you, and okay, kiss now. Not anything to show that you're reciprocating the feelings. So that's why I felt like it was bullshit at the end of the day. Bree asked him, about him being like him and his whole thing about being committed, and is he ready to be engaged? And okay, he says that he has always had a problem with like long-term commitment and being committed to one person, and he tells her and Michelle and what's her name, Rachel, about him meeting with his father and stuff and how he's trying to work through that. But this is my whole thing, like, if I meet a man, if I'm dating a man like in this situation and he's already telling me out of his mouth that he has problems with long-term commitment, I would not want to be engaged to him after only knowing him for a couple of weeks, because that gives me pause. Absolutely. I mean, it's great that he's acknowledging that, but if you yourself are admitting that you have a problem, you have an issue with long-term commitment, I do not want to be engaged to you. We're going to continuously date and we're going to see how that changes. But if you are already having a problem with long-term commitment, why would I then want to get engaged to you right after I know something like that? Do you see how that doesn't really add up together? It doesn't really make sense to me. That's just my opinion. Yeah, so like I said, so he tells her about his dad. They go fuck next morning. She still hasn't said, and she said it to him in the bed, oh, that's why I'm just so in love with you. He never said it back to her. Okay, and Matt is like, oh, I can't believe all of these women, they're putting their heart out there. And I said, and vagina. Let's not forget vagina, because you're having sex with each one of these women. That's what you're doing. Like, and I'm not taking any onus off of them because they're grown-ass women, and I think it's stupid that they're having sex with this man. But whatever. It's not just their heart, it's their vagina too. It's both. It's their heart and their vagina. Let's add that along. And vagina, okay? Because if I'm one of these women, I'm not having sex with Matt. Absolutely not. That is me personally. In this situation, I'm not having sex with Matt. Like, it would be different if it's just me and Matt, and we've been talking for as a couple, for as long as they've been doing this show. Then, all right, cool. You might be able to hit it real fast, but I'm not. What do y'all not understand that Matt really won at the end of the day with this situation, because he was able to get his penis wet 3 times in a row. Like, as far as days, like 3 days in a row, he was able to get his penis wet by 3 different women. He wins at the end of this day. I hope and pray y'all was using protection, because the way that y'all all be kissing on each other, it don't seem like it. So I hope protection was involved. But best to believe he smashed Bree. Best to believe he smashed Michelle. And best to believe he smashed homegirl at the end. Okay. Then we go on, and Michelle and Rachel are talking back at the house, and they're waiting. And okay, Rachel, it's one thing for you to be in your feelings about it, right? It's one thing. But then you gonna say, I don't even want to see her. What the fuck did she do to you? What did she do to you? She did nothing to you. You can have an attitude, you can be jealous, all of that. But what the fuck, what you mean? I don't want to see her. I just don't want to see her. This is why we don't like you, Rachel. This is why. The micro and macro aggressions are like on an all-time high for me. So then she goes off in the corner when Bree comes and has a whole little breakdown. I just can't. I just can't. It's supposed to be my nigger's penis. It's my nigger's penis. That's what it is. It's mine, okay? So she ends up going on a date. Rachel ends up going on a date with Matt. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I fast forwarded through a whole lot of this because I don't give a fuck about Rachel. I do not care. Don't care about the relationship. Don't care about their union. I think Rachel is basic. I think she looks basic. I think she doesn't really have much of a personality. And of course, this is all of what I see on TV. So that's all I can go off of. I don't see what's interesting about Rachel. I don't even really feel like, and it's not that Rachel isn't a pretty girl, but I just don't really see what the hoopla, like, take away her looks. The girl don't even really seem like she's that interesting as far as a personality, not compared to Michelle, not compared to Brie, not compared to a lot of the other. I will even give you, because it's not really even about her being white, because I liked a lot of white girls on her. I liked Katie. I liked Abigail. Those are women to me who had decent. Katie had more of a personality than all of these bitches put together. Abigail had a really cool personality. Rachel doesn't really even have much of a fucking personality to me, so I don't even understand why she's still here. But anyway, they go on their date and they do some ghost Patrick Swayze, Demi Moore pot making shit, okay? And so she's like, oh, I can't do this anymore. I have to talk to you. So she goes and talks to him and tells him how she's been dealing with this and how it's just so hard for her to see him with other people. And this is the second fucking time that we heard Matt say out his mouth to Rachel, oh, I'm falling in love with you. I don't know if he's saying it to the other girls and we're just not seeing it, but I don't really remember Matt ever saying to any of the other girls that he's falling in love with him. He did it this time and he did it at the hometown, but I don't ever remember, please correct me if I'm wrong, him doing it with any of the other girls. That's how we knew he was going to pick her, and that's how we know that it's all bullshit at the end of the day, okay? So then they go out to dinner or whatever, and he's explaining to her, him seeing his father and that relationship and stuff. And looking at Rachel, I'm like, I put this in my notes, bro. Rachel can't relate to none of the shit that you're talking about. Like, even though Michelle said, like, I did have a positive representation of love, I still feel like Michelle can relate more to you and Brie can relate more to you than Rachel can. Rachel looked, even though Michelle didn't go through that, Michelle looked understanding. Rachel looked so fucking confused by everything that Matt was talking about. She can't understand. I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. And I'm tired of Matt using the, oh, well, when you fell from the sky and crash landed and you laid there, I thought, oh my gosh, what would my life be without Rachel? The same way it was a couple months ago before you met her. Wouldn't be that different. And I'm so tired of her trying to use him and her trying to use the skydiving situation to be a reason as to why he felt so strongly about her. Like, what the fuck? You didn't want the girl to die. No shit. I'm pretty sure you wasn't the only person on set who was like, oh shit, look at what the fuck happened. It wasn't just you. So that's not a gauge of how much you love somebody because you see them get hurt and you're like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't want anything to happen to them. I wouldn't want anything to happen to my dog. That doesn't mean I want to marry him. Matt, as much as I don't give a fuck about Matt, if I seen something that happened to Matt on TV and he was hurt, I wouldn't want that for him, but that don't mean that I want to marry him either. Like, you're conflating the two. You're conflating the fucking two, okay? And so then they go to dinner, like so yeah. So like I said, they was at dinner talking about that, and then you know they go back to the room and they fuck. I'm telling y'all, it was a copy and paste episode. Go out, eat, get his penis wet, send them home. That's what happened, okay? That is what happened. So then we get to the rose ceremony, and as per fucking usual, Brie looks a fucking amazing. She looked amazing. Brie kills as far as the looks department and the dressing department. She always kills everybody that's on scene. But Michelle did look really, really nice too. Rachel looked basic as fuck. Rachel looked basic as fuck. So as we all know, at the end of the day, the rose ceremony comes. He picks Michelle first, then he picks Rachel, sends Bree home. This is why, ladies, I say, don't you ever in your black ass life, don't you ever in your black, white, purple, in between life, ever quit a job for a man. Don't you ever give up your livelihood behind a man, especially a man that you don't even know is gonna be yours. So now Bree has to go home, not only brokenhearted, but without a fucking job. Congratulations, Bree. You played yourself. In that situation, you absolutely played yourself. I wouldn't have dare give up my job. For this nigga, for them, for him, that nigga who has a roommate, you want me to give up my... Girl, you got the right one. I wouldn't fucking dare. But all of that to say, something in the water isn't clean about this whole situation. We know that 9 times out of 10, he's just gonna pick Rachel at the end. Something in the milk ain't clean about this entire situation. From the way we got the information about Rachel being, you know, quote unquote race, although there was a TikToker that did that, still, it's weird to me that we found out early in the season that there was no other female. All of them white people on that show, and the only one we found anything else about was Rachel. Rachel was the one that's quote unquote racist. She ends up with the first black bachelor. The first time somebody damn daddy is brought on this show is a black man and his father who wasn't present in his life. It seems like I tell y'all before, what the Mama Joy said, it seems like a scheme to me that ABC came up with so that they could come back to us with the bullshit. Something in the milk ain't clean. I don't like what's happening. I don't like what I feel like is at play here. I do not fucking like it. I don't 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 like it. I do not like this. I don't like it. And like I said, I'm sorry. But it does bother me that previous to this, you had 4 fucking women of color and Rachel. And the odds, if we looking at odds, the odds would have been that you probably ended up with a woman of color. Some way, somehow, you still end up with Rachel. And I'm sorry, but I have to say this. I absolutely believe that Matt's father not being in his life, and especially with him being Matt's father not being in his life and him being a black man and his mama being in his life and being a white woman, I feel like that absolutely plays into why Matt is probably more attracted to a white woman. And I don't really care what nobody says. I absolutely believe that has something to do with it. It just does. It just fucking does. It just does. Which is why you need to clean up your childhood trauma before you go ahead and you marry somebody. I still don't understand why anybody's getting engaged at the end of this. Why are y'all getting engaged to... Let me just go on a mini rant. Why are y'all getting engaged to a man who got long-term commitment problems? Why are y'all getting engaged after a couple of weeks? Why is everybody quote-unquote in love with a nigga who can't even tell them that they love him back? Why is all of this going on? And this is why I probably don't watch The Bachelor, because it's all confusing to me. Y'all get in the comments. Y'all tell me what y'all think. I'll be back with the Real Housewives of Dallas review. Bye-bye.